13 seconds. That's all it takes for this gang to subject their victims to the most gruesome, brutal violence. And once you join them, whether by force or choice, the only way out is death. One of MS-13's most essential principles is to see, hear, and say nothing. The gang enforces this rule by giving any MS-13 member suspected of telling on the group a green light, an order to kill. MS-13, or Mara Salvatrucha, is an international criminal gang like no other. And in this video, we look into the lives of its gang members. The Mara Salvatrucha gang was founded in Los Angeles in the 1980s by Salvadoran immigrants from the city's Pico Union neighborhood who had fled Central America's civil wars. Salvadoran asylum seekers were denied access to the United States in that time period, and instead came to the country in large numbers as undocumented illegal immigrants. MS-13 began as a Los Angeles-based gang of young, delinquent heavy metal fans. But things got out of hand too quickly. The undocumented community in Los Angeles faced significant racial intolerance and persecution. And to combat that, MS-13 began to develop into a gang. The gang's original mission was to protect Salvadoran immigrants from other, more established gangs in Los Angeles, which were mostly made up of Mexicans, Asians, and African Americans. Soon enough, they gained a reputation for extreme violence and machete-wielding murders. It began in Mexican gang-controlled neighborhoods, and then spread to other regions of the country. They have now grown like wildfire, known to operate in at least 46 states, according to the FBI. MS-13 has been accused of taking advantage of underprivileged and at-risk youth, who are targeted to join the gang either by getting jumped in, which means they're beaten mercilessly for 13 seconds, or by what they call get wet, in which they ask the youngsters to commit a crime, usually a murder, for the gang. An FBI threat assessment in 2008 predicted between 6,000 and 10,000 members in the United States, making it one of the country's largest criminal organizations. But the number has now grown to more than 60,000 in all of Central America. Members of MS-13 are branded for life with large tattoos on their faces, backs, and/or chests. Oh, and the number 13 doesn't just signify the district they started in or how long they beat their victim. The gang is famous for chopping up people into 13 pieces as evidence that the brutal murder has been carried out by them. According to evidence gathered in from a large-scale Salvadoran police investigation, the gang's annual revenue is around $31.2 million, primarily from drugs and extortion. Let's take a look at some of the gang members from MS-13. It was 2003, the year Melgar Diaz, then 13 years old, moved from El Salvador to Fairfax County, Virginia. He was welcomed into the Gangsters Locos clique under the alias Clipper, and soon landed himself in the county juvenile jail center on several counts of violent activities. It's insane to think that he was just 14 years old at the time, but already had a history of violence. Once he got out of the detention center, he changed his alias to Blue, and began slowly getting tattoos that would eventually cover his neck and chin. He became the MS-13's East Coast Program's commander for the Virginia region, and as the commander, he got to impose command and control over MS-13 cliques on the East Coast. Blue continued to rise in the MS-13 ranks, owing to both ambition and generosity. He used the funds he got from the U.S. to assist gang members in El Salvador in purchasing guns and drugs, and another portion was given to the MS-13 leadership in the country. Melgar Diaz wanted a portion of the contributions as much as he wanted to keep his Salvadoran colleagues pleased, so he requested that half of the drug revenues be given to him, in addition to his monthly salary. His demands were a little exorbitant. For example, one clique was profiting greatly from cocaine sales in Maryland and Virginia restaurants, so he asked them to give him $500 every 15 days. As of 2020, Diaz has come to be known as the first terrorist in MS-13 after Trump revealed in a speech that he was pursuing terrorism charges against him. Trump then handed the floor to his Attorney General Barr, who branded MS-13 as a death cult, with members motivated by the honor of being the most nasty, bloodthirsty person you can be. He accused Melgar Diaz of wielding influence over 13 U.S. states, including approving murders from El Salvador. The first MS-13 member to receive the federal death penalty was Alejandro Enrique Ramirez Umana, popularly known as Wizard. Umana murdered multiple people in Los Angeles, and he eventually returned to Charlotte, North Carolina as a veteran member of MS-13 to rebuild the gang's Charlotte cell. Soon after, he fatally shot 2 people while in Las Darochitas, a family-run restaurant, after the 2 victims had allegedly disrespected Umana's gang signs by calling them fake. According to trial testimony, he injured another person in the restaurant by firing 3 more shots. He was apprehended 5 days later with the murder weapon in his possession. He also attempted to bring a knife into the courtroom during the trial, but it was discovered by U.S. Marshals before he was carried to the courthouse. A 12-member federal jury in Charlotte unanimously voted to impose the death penalty on April 28th. On November 3rd, 2021, he was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list as a Honduran fugitive and the reputed leader of the MS-13 gang in Honduras. Archaga Carayas is the MS-13 leader for all of Honduras, and he is suspected of supplying weapons, narcotics, and cash to gang members operating in the U.S. He is also suspected of orchestrating the assassinations of rival gang members, and is still believed to be in Honduras. The FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list included Archaga Carayas as the 526th fugitive, and they're offering a reward of up to $100,000 for anyone who provides information about his whereabouts. This is the story of an MS-13 gang member who not only saw the error of his ways, but was also lucky enough to get out alive, something that is very, very rare. And he makes sure to put that opportunity to the best use. Clever, aka Gerardo Lopez, is a former member of the MS-13 gang in Los Angeles, and he is now working to prevent at-risk youngsters from making the same mistakes. Lopez was exposed to gang activity as a child, growing up in Los Angeles' Koreatown neighborhood. And despite the fact that Lopez is not Salvadoran, he ended up as a part of the MS-13 gang. Lopez has started an association called Homies Unidos, which, through gang intervention and prevention, strives to reduce violence and foster peace. Gerardo is the executive director of Homies Unidos Denver at the moment. On a daily basis, he works with youth through a series of interventions and prevention by telling them about his own experience with gang violence and how he was able to beat the odds and put that life behind him. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about the rise of gang violence in the United States? Is the immigration policy really the root of all evil? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.